Hi everyone, so we're gonna start, and for the people that couldn't make it anyway, we will send the link so they will be able to catch up later and watch it again. And what works for the people that didn't come works for you as well. If you wish to see it again, you will receive the link after the session, I guess by tomorrow maximum. So thank you very much for coming on this webinar on the topic ad and content OTTs survival strategies, as per what we see on the screen currently. So this webinar will be constructed in three blocks. So first of all, we will have the presentation of Dataxis, few words just for everyone to understand who we are, what we do. Then we will have the main part of this webinar today, which is related to the ad and content OTT survival strategies. We will go through an introduction, an observation on the market conditions currently. We will also look at the solutions to solve these issues, so the new strategies in place. We will also have a closer look on the content because content is becoming more and more important. That's what we're going to see together. And the reason why we are doing this webinar today is because Dataxis Market Research has published as well a new section related to the content library. So this is a good occasion, of course, to address this topic together. And finally, we'll have a conclusion to this webinar. Plus, I will give a few information regarding our research and our event next year that we organize. As I mentioned, this webinar is recorded, so you will be able to watch it again. And if you have any question, you can ask them in the chat box that is available. But unfortunately, I will not answer the question now. But if you put your question, I will get back to you, I promise, on a second time. Just not to cut the webinar. That's the reason why. So let's start. Let's dive in on this webinar. So we're going to go directly on Dataxis website. So let's check it out together. What you see on the screen currently for this introduction to Dataxis is our website. And myself, I'm going to guide you through this. So by the way, I didn't mention that, but my name is Mathieu Danicourt, and I'm a business development executive at Dataxis, just to mention for the record. So this presentation will start by Dataxis activities. So we have different field of activities. First, we have the market research. And you can see on your screen now all the different topics that we address in market research. You have more topics than just that. These are the categories, but if you go into the categories, you will see the granularity of the metrics we have, basically subscribers, revenues, ARPU, on every technologies, every players, on the quarterly basis with forecasts. This is the promise we make on the research that you can get from us. Another side of our activities are the conferences. I saw some names in the people that are watching me now. Some of them are already coming to some of our conferences. So you can see already the calendar for 2024. You can go back on the website, of course. Feel free to join us as attendees. It will be a good occasion to meet a lot of players of the industry of the TV streaming related to the content, but we also have events on the broadband, the mobile, and also the refurbishment for next year. So feel free to join as attendees or sponsor our conferences. It's possible as well to sponsor them. And when you sponsor it, we offer many services that will help you to grow your business. Another thing I wanted to show you just before starting the webinar on the ad and content are the research highlights. This is also on our website. No worries, this is free. So you just need to put your email address here in this small box made for that. And you will be able to receive directly in your mailbox twice a week research highlights made by our analysts. So you have some explanation about an actuality, a trend on various topics with infographic. It's really informative. It's made by our analysts. And if you go back on the research highlight section, you can even filter the industry and the region to make a focus on what you're doing and see what has been published in the past. Okay, now that we've seen what Dataxis does, we're gonna take the second and biggest part of this session today, which is the webinar on the ads and content strategies for the OTT platforms. So let's dive in directly. I'm going to give a quick introduction while I let you watch this first view, which is really informative. So why this topic? We've seen that there's a multiplication of global and local OTT platform. So the competition is increasing drastically. And since the beginning of this year, 2023, platforms had to adjust to major obstacles, including a slowdown in subscribers, rising of financial constraints as well, and players like Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney Plus, just to mention some of them, of course, are now facing two big challenges. So maintaining their subscribers based on limiting the churn with the rising of the competition. And second big point is the rationalizing of the investment and exploring new revenue streams. These are the two challenges from this year that the OTT platforms have faced. So in addition to the password sharing crackdown, we can narrow down the strategies put in place currently. So providing ad-based option to end users, extending distribution deals with telecom operators. That's one of the key factors that we're going to look at. Focusing on more reasonable but relevant content investments. So to see these different things, we will look first at the decrease of traditional pay TV, and that's what you have on the screen currently, in favor of OTT platforms. Then what are the solutions that exist to adapt the OTT strategy in a saturated environment? And finally, of course, the content is still a key factor to success for OTT platform, but more element than quantity must be taken into account. So that's what we're going to see together. So what you have on the screen now, as we enter the first side of this webinar, we're going to make some observation on the market condition. And one that we can already observe on this screen is the subscribers to pay TV that decrease while the subscribers to OTT pay TV increase. That's a fact. On that view, you have a time frame at the bottom. This is a focus on the USA with the pay TV distribution. And you can clearly see through the years that the subscription to traditional pay TV operators are decreasing. That's the first thing, starting point we can highlight. The second thing we can highlight as well, and this will be more on the OTT side, is that there is a slowdown for the OTT. This is what you can see on that second view. So subscribers to SVOD platforms are not evolving, and some are even losing subscribers. So we observe this slow increase in the subs since the pandemic, because if you look at the time frame again at the bottom, we can clearly see the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. But since that increase, there is clearly a stagnation in the subscribers to the OTT platforms. So there's a market saturation with households that already have subscription. There are financial pressure on the platform because they did invest a lot on their catalogs to create appealing and exclusive content offers for sometimes low return, big investment and low return. So all these things are not good for the industry. Diminution of the subs, stagnation of the subs, big investment in content, no return on the investment. And the households, especially in Western countries, are already equipped with OTT platform. That's the current situation. So now that we have highlighted these issues, we can ask our questions: what are the new OTT strategy deployed in 2023 to face these challenges? So how can they keep and increase their subs while diversifying their revenues? And that's what we're going to see in the next view. So the first one, we will talk about the revenue stream. So as explained, SVOD platforms need to find a way to get out of the stagnation. And on this example, still on the USA, we can see the ad tier revenues for Netflix. That was the first platform to launch such offers. Disney, that did launch it as well this year. And if we go a little bit further, Amazon Prime Video is about to launch the same type of offer in Europe as well. But if we focus on what we see on the screen, we have a time frame quarterly at the top of the dashboard. We can see the revenues of the three main OTT platforms in the US, Disney+, Netflix, and Amazon Prime Video. And we see for the pay OTT ad-supported tier revenue, we see when this offer appears, and we clearly see that there is an increasing of the revenues since this offer was launched. This generated more revenues to the platform that launched the ad tier supported subscription. What is also interesting to watch is that if we look at the total revenue of Netflix at Q2 2023, there is a decrease of the revenues, but we can say that this decrease has been tempered by the fact that they launched this offer. So it's really a long-term strategy that it pays, because actually they generated more revenues, new revenues, and it tempered the loss of revenues they could have already in the US at this beginning of the year. So what we see here is one strategy put in place, one of them, because as I mentioned, there are all the ways to maintain its level and to enhance a good strategy to keep subscribers and revenues. So the second thing I wanted to show you is the FAST. Of course, you have all heard about the FAST, excuse me for my English. So you have all heard about the FAST, obviously, because this is one of the emerging ways to generate revenues, and the free ad-supported linear TV proposed option for precise user to target them with the right ads. So it's really important. This is free. It's linear and it's based on programmatic advertising. So pretty easy to put in place. And so more and more content providers are launching their FAST channels to diversify their distribution, create additional revenue streams. On the example that you see on the screen, I've filtered for you Italy. And at Dataxis Market Research, we track every FAST channels by platform and by country since the launch date and the reach of the channel. So it gives you also a good view on the attractiveness, the attractivity of the FAST by market and for the platforms. So this is one more way to generate more views, to keep the subscribers, keep the viewers, and yeah, keep going on the good way, if I can say like that. So there's also something really interesting about the FAST channels, actually, because the FAST channels can be on various things. So there are more and more platforms from various profile aggregation. So for example, if you talk about the connected TV, so smart TVs, Samsung TV Plus launch its channel, LG launch its channels on every market. If we talk more about the studio, Pluto TV, Paramount, they have also launched FAST channels. So the diversity of the profile of the player that can launch FAST channels is extreme. And there are even e-commerce FAST channels that we can see, like Rakuten or Freeway. So this is a new angle of attack for a good strategy as an OTT platform to diversify their revenues, their distribution. Another good example, and that's something you might know as well, are the partnerships. And that's the view I'm going to put now. So let's put a big screen so you can clearly see that. OTT SVOD Partnership Tracker. That's the name of the dashboard you see here. Why? Because the market is fragmented, of course, and there's a lot of competition. So it's hard for the platform to stand out in this competitive environment. So at Dataxis, we know that in Europe, there are more than 1,200 SVOD platforms. So that shows you how many platforms are in place and all the difficulties they are all facing. So that's why the partnerships are interesting, because by doing so, the telco can provide the demand of OTT service to their subs. So they can keep their subs and offer this access to the OTT platform. And for the SVOD platforms, as per our example now, they can gain in distribution and user because they have more exposition. So that's why that kind of deal are really interesting. On the example I've selected for you, you have the UK, and we can see, for example, Sky, on their pay TV offer, they have different active deals with Paramount Plus, Peacock, Discovery Plus, since when, but also if it's included or not in the package. So for the final user, when he pays his subscription to the pay TV from Sky, maybe he has to pay or not an add-on to the subscription. And we can also give you the price of this add-on. And we also have the reach of the deal. These deals, these partnerships are indeed also a good strategy. And this is beneficial for pay TV operators, but also for OTT platforms, especially the SVOD platforms. So I think we've seen the main example I wanted to show you now, except one, which is the content. And that's one of the biggest parts of the webinar today. Why? Because however, even if they are partnership, even if there is fast channels, even if they diversify their revenue stream, the availability of the service across many devices and operators doesn't guarantee that the service will be watched. And this is where the content strategy is crucial. So now that we have seen those three levers for the platform, we can make the focus on the content, and that help to approach and to maintain the subscribers for the existing platform. So we have published a new tracker at Dataxis recently called the Content Library, and we're going to explore this. We're going to explore this service together now, and it's going to be really informative. So let's take the first view. So the first view will make a push on a really important point, which is the size of the catalog. This is really important. So the first element to consider as the size of the catalog is the number of title or series that movies series that an OTT platform will have. So that's what we can see here with France. This dashboard is a monthly dashboard. So we can see at September 2023 in France, the number of titles by platform and also by a type of access. So if we filter the access and we just want to have the SVOD platform, it's possible. You can also do it with the download to own, the transactional VOD, the AVOD, and the BVOD. But let's make the focus on SVOD together. So once again, if you have any question, you can ask in the chat box. I see that there is a question. And this session is recorded, so you will be able to watch it after. So now I have filtered SVOD, subscribers visit on demand on France. So we can see that the biggest catalog is on Netflix. And in the title, so we see in blue the movies and in orange the series. So they have the biggest catalog with, at September, more than 9,000 titles on their platform for France. Also, I want to mention that for the series, we count every season of every series, not every episode, but if you take an example of a series that has 10 seasons and 100 episodes, we will count 10 because of the 10 season. That's how it works on our dashboard. Just a small comment. So that's what we can see. But in addition to the biggest catalog ever you can have, there's something really important, really important, which is the genre. So the genre is another criteria to apply to attractive content offer, because the attractivity of the titles themselves is so important to engage the subscribers. So analyzing the genre helps to understand how each platform is positioned. So that's what we're going to see now on the next view. You can see here on Austria, I took Austria as an example. We can see all the genre, action, adventure, animation, comedy for Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, pre-selected for you as well. And you can see directly on it the number of titles that are allocated by type. And you go down and yeah, it will give you the details. Again, in September 2022, you have the number of titles by genre for every platform. Talking about genre, there is something else I wanted to highlight. It's the sport. So the sport is a genre we track here in the genre selected on the platform. But sport is also a powerful way to attract subscribers. And we have all heard it this year because F1, for example, was available on Viaplay. Roland Garros was available on Amazon Prime Video. So it shows that for sport, which is one of the genre, there is also a big strategy to have for every platforms. And we can help you also to understand these metrics with our sport OTT tracker. Why? Because the teams and the leagues, they can also decide to valorize their assets directly on their own platform. So the sport OTT tracker shows that content provider, such as the teams and the league, that you can see on the first column of this dashboard, they launch their own OTT platform as well. So you have the teams, the league, the sport area, and the name of their video platform. You can see who's carrying the platform, which provider, the last version of the platform, if the platform provides live content or not, the availability, but also the business model. And that's really important because the teams and league are becoming also their own OTT platform provider with their subscribers. They generate revenues to engage the fans, and they have understood that the content is really a key topic. So they can display their content directly on their platform, or the teams and leagues can also make deals with existing big OTT platform, like I mentioned, Viaplay with Formula One, or Roland Garros with Amazon Prime Video. That's really important. So it shows the genre is a key factor. One of the other key metrics are the local content. Local content are really important. Why? Because the country of origin for a local content is important to convince the local audience. That's normal, and we all relate to that. So if you are a content provider, this tool can help you actually to identify where, for instance, the biggest production is consumed by country. For example, if you are a Spanish content provider and you want to see where Spanish content works the best, is the most distributed, you can look at it from this platform. And on my side, I selected Canada. So here for Canada, you have all the OTT platforms, the group, the holding, and then with the different colors you see on that screen, these will indicate you where are coming from the content on each platform. So let's check it out. I was too long not acting on the website before, so keeping the views just for you. And so the platform is asking me to refresh. So it's the only moment I will do so. I apologize for that, but yeah, it will just take 2 seconds. So it should be fine. So I go back in production countries, which is one of the views of the dashboard. Let's check it out. Of course, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat box. Again, apologize, I will not answer now, but yeah, I will make sure to answer after the call. So now it is. So basically, I took Canada as an example, but let's just take what comes. So for example, if we look at Algeria right there, you have all the OTT platform for Algeria, and you can see where come from the content. So for Amazon Prime Video, okay, sorry, I was still in Albania. For Amazon Prime Video in Algeria, we can see that 40% of the content come from the USA. It represents 854 titles in September 2023. So it's changing every month, of course. Then we can also see that the second biggest provider of content in Algeria in September was India, with 31% of the content. So this dashboard can really help you to understand every market, what works the best, what is the demand from the consumer. The other view that is really a key is the one related to refreshment, because we've seen that you need to have a big catalog, you need to have diversified genre, you need to have local content, But you also need to have new content because you need to keep the subscribers once they're there. So they need to be a feed, if I can speak like that. So that's what we have also on that view. For example, I took the example of Mexico. Here you have all the OTT servers, and at September, you can see that on Mubi, 41 of the titles were new from August month. Netflix, we can see also the refreshment of titles every month. Something we can also provide at Dataxis that is not here is the name of the movies or the series. We have all the names. We also have the rating of all the content, and we also have the award winning of every series and content. So there are much more things that you see on this screen because we don't have so many time, and it's already almost half an hour together. So I'm going to try to make it quick. But as you can see, there are tremendous number of information, and the refreshment rate is extremely important to keep the audience. So just to refocus a little bit, so new titles to watch, to feed the customer, refreshing the catalog, it's really important, but also the exclusivity. Exclusivity, which means that you are the only one to have the content you display at one moment. So for example, I took the example of Argentina here. I'm just trying to move a little bit so we can all benefit from this webinar. So with the example of Argentina, you can see that Amazon Prime Video in September was the only one to display 1,486 titles on their platform, which means that you could not find these contents in Disney Plus, on Apple TV, or on Amazon Prime Video. No, they had, it's Amazon Prime Video, sorry, on Netflix. So they have exclusivity on that number of titles. We have the list of them. You can also filter, and I didn't mention that before, you can always filter the genre directly on the platform. So if you want to see the exclusivity on comedy, it's possible, on type of access, the type of movies or series, of course, the release date, if you want to see which movies from the 70s were new or exclusive on the platform at this period of time, it's possible. Also the runtime and the production country. So this means if you want to see in Argentina at September, the number of new titles for Amazon Prime Video coming from Bolivia, you can get this information as well. So yeah, this attracts the consumer, of course, and retain the existing one. So now that we have seen all of this, so thank you very much, first of all, for listening to me with my French accent. I know it's not always easy. I'm trying my best, but what we can say, so many challenges have occurred in the OTT world in the past years, and it's not going to be easier in the coming ones. So platforms need to diversify their partnership, source of revenues, and work on their catalog to maintain their subscribers satisfied. Really important. So how do they do that? For the content, they need new content, exclusive, local, and diversified. That's all the keys you need to get. What we've observed this year also is the rationalization of the investment in the content because the investment is decreasing. So it is more important to understand the competitor strategy, the composition of their catalogs to make the right and most efficient choices, because they have to be defended from a financial perspective as well. So this module is a key tool to understand all this complex world and all its threats. That's it for the webinar. Now I just want to highlight two things. If you want to go back on this platform, try it by yourself. It's possible. You can try it with the free trial. You just go on the website, you click on free trial, and you can go through all the modules, not just pay, not just TV distribution, not just OTT and content that we've seen together or the sport, but also all the different topics that we address with our analysts that are dedicated by topic and by region worldwide. Another thing, just to mention again, all our events next year related to these topics, the next TV series and the CTV days. We are coming to you because we come to North America, including Canada and in the United States. We are coming to you in South America as well, in Brazil, in Argentina, in Mexico, I'm forgetting cities, but anyway, it's written. We are coming to you in Europe, we are coming to you in Africa, and we are coming to you in Middle East, India, and Australia next year. So feel free to join us. And that's it. If you want to contact me, you have my email right there. We will send to you the webinar after the session. And if you have asked a question, I will take this question in consideration and come back to you soon. Thank you so much, and see you in the next webinar or during our event. Bye-bye.